Thank you, Mr. Finance Minister, for joining us today. I think the IMF's recent review gives the best starting point for this conversation. Seems like Pakistan's economy is holding up, and it has hit the current account surplus for the first time in 40 years, which is positive, definitely. Then EIA, Energy Information Administration, is forecasting that globally the oil prices are going to stay low throughout 2026. So I have two questions. Can Pakistan keep the surplus going and stay stable? And secondly, will the cheaper oil prices give the government a breathing room to lower the electricity tariff for the consumer?
I think, you have focused on a few indices, but I would like to say that if we look at it in a more holistic way, with respect to the macroeconomic stability and the progress that we've been making around bringing more permanence to it, and it is around some of the points that you have made around the current account, but it's across, a stable currency, FX reserves, which is very, very important, both from local investors' perspective and foreign investors' perspective. Then the inflation coming into single digits, the policy rate coming down. So we have to look at it very holistically in terms of the progress that we have made, which is now has two external validations. One that you referred to, the staff level agreement that has been announced this week, which means fund agrees in terms of our direction of travel and whatever we have committed with them in terms of quantitative and structural benchmarks. Another thing is the three global rating agencies upgrading us during the course of this year. And that too has happened after a hiatus of 2.5, 3 years that they are fully aligned. Now, I think your question is probably around now the sustainability of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right question to ask because we have been in these places before as well. And despite that, we have gone through boom and bust cycles. So I would say that this time around, we're being very deliberate and very determined around the structural reforms, whether it's taxation, whether it's energy, whether it's SOEs, the privatization part, the public finance side. Because from my perspective, that is what is going to give it permanence. Because oil prices can go up and down, right? So so far, so good, right? That our oil import bill is being held in terms of the international lowering of the price and the softening of the oil price. It also helps us in another way, which is that imported inflation is going to be a lower number.
Right.
So it helps us with the only way that we can ensure that we do not get hit when at some point in time these cycles will reverse, right? Because commodities go through cycles, countries go through cycles, there are macroeconomic cycles. So how countries which have done well, when they build buffers, both on the fiscal side and they build buffers on the external side, because these macroeconomic events are going to be there. So this time around, what the managing director of IMF also said is building resilience, which means that those countries which have building fiscal space, building external finance space, and the other thing is the private sector leading the country, right? So I think we have a lot. We take a lot of those boxes
Right.
around those countries in the world who have weathered the vicissitudes of
Right.
some of the elements that you have mentioned.
So this leads me to my next question, that during your current visit, you met many top of US officials here, and Pakistan has already secured a tariff deal with the US. So which sectors should we expect to benefit the most in coming days, and how early would that be?
Yeah. So the discussion was always going to be that investment will follow the trade. And the fact that I would say we've landed relatively well with the tariff discussion with respect to our regional competitors. But there are two clear areas of interest Um, if your question is primarily around the US investor base, I would say minerals and mining, where we already see the traction, and the other is overall technology, but AI, digital infrastructure, etc. And in both cases, it's not only an academic discussion. It's not what can happen, what will happen, because as you know, we have already received delegations and business enterprises from the US who have signed MOUs around critical minerals. Similarly, on the IT side, I've received messages from Google that they are coming in and they plan to open office in Pakistan.
Right.
And then on top of that, everything that is going on in AI, Web 3.0, and blockchain, huge upside and win-win between US and Pakistan.
You just mentioned the talks about minerals. Of course, that's kind of a a major point of interest for both US and Pakistan. So, if you could share as to what is Pakistan's estimated capacity and valuation of these rare minerals once this project is initiated at some level.
Yeah. So I think the in the first instance, I actually don't go into too many estimates and forecasts and all of that. Um, the reality is, as a former banker, I want to remain very firm-footed in terms of what is happening and where do we take it forward. So to answer your question, Reko Diq, which is the first project which is coming through, and the financial close is around the corner. We just had a meeting with the managing director of IFC. They're very keen because they are leading the syndication on Reko Diq. So we're just awaiting the US government shutdown to be wrapped up, whenever it gets wrapped up, so that US exim can come in. It's not a very large ticket, but I think it's going to be very important in terms of signaling of US financial institution and capacity coming through in this deal. But first year of commercial operation, our estimates are that it's going to be about $2.8 billion of copper export, which is a 10% delta on our existing base. And this is just the start, because there are other mines and there are other concessions which should be coming through. And at a point in time, we should go, when the critical mass is there and the scale is there, to go into smelting and go into value addition. Now, this is not going to happen overnight, but in terms of where we are headed with this, I think it's has huge amount of upside for Pakistan.
All right, there's another point of interest for many Pakistani, that's privatization. So, what is government's plan for its next phase, like a selling of PIA and any other state entities? Are there any potential bidders that you can talk about and share with us?
It starts with acknowledgement always. This is one area where we haven't done well in the last 18 months, but we are beginning to move in that direction. And as you know, the Prime Minister hosted the event yesterday, where the first asset, and it's a small bank, but it's a step in the right direction, which is being privatized. It's a conglomerate out of UAE is going to take it over, and they have big plans in terms of investment flows and maybe even going digital with that institution. So it's a good start, because as I keep on saying in the cricketing terminology, you have to get the first run on the board, right? So that everyone can believe that we are walking the talk. But then you talk about a national airline. I think last year we weren't successful. This year, the development which has taken place with respect to the opening of the routes which got blocked, the opening of the routes with respect to Europe, it's got opened in January, and the UK routes, which got opened very recently, and the short list of the qualified bid is already there. They're doing the due diligence. I'm quite sanguine that, inshallah, before the year is out, this is going to go through. Our advisor to the Prime Minister, Mr. Muhammad Ali, is a practitioner, which makes a huge amount of difference in terms of transaction negotiations and discussions. So he's really leading from the front. So PIA is there. Then we should be finalizing the sell-side advisor on the Roosevelt transaction in New York. Then the three power distribution companies, which are in phase one of the privatization list. So Alvarez and Marcel are the sell-side advisor. They are leading that, and we have good traction there as well. Overall, we have 24 state-owned enterprises which have been handed over to Privatization Commission. As I said, the first, I think, if I'm not mistaken, uh, what the Prime Minister said yesterday is the first drop, and I think he's right that's going to, get us going with the privatization thing.
Right. This brings me to my last question.
Yeah.
You have mentioned about issuing green panda bonds.
Yes.
And this is, of course, significant because it would be in yuan and not in any other currency. So when should we expect that to be launched, and how much government expects to raise out of it?
Yeah. So from our perspective, this is very, very important trade. It's a diversification, funding diversification discussion. We have previously done euro issuances, US dollar, Islamic sukuks, etc. So we have been late, quite frankly, in terms of tapping the second largest and second deepest capital market in the world. So this was about time that we do that. Secondly, your question around the timing and the amount. So we are looking at about $250 million equivalent of RMB in the first phase. This is, following really the Egyptian model, because they had credit enhancement. So we will have credit enhancement from AIB and Asian Development Bank. And we have had two non-deal roadshows. And the interest in Pakistani issuance and paper is quite strong. We have very strong underwriters as well. So based on that, I do think that we should have a successful issue, inshallah, before the calendar year is out.
Thank you very much for your time.